Hey, welcome to episode 111 of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. 111. Lucky 111. Today, I first of all, I'm just thrilled to be here. I love having great conversations on Wednesday afternoon, and thank you all for joining. That was tough for me with the speech impediment. Thank you all for tuning in. I should stick with tuning in. Today, my guest is such a she's brilliant. She's brilliant and has a lot to say about just showing up to our lives with all we have and contributing what we've got to contribute. And also, as she puts it, making lemons out of lemonade, which is so important because we each get our own share of lemons. Sometimes they come in bushel baskets, but if we can make lemonade out of them, we can really enjoy life and live it to our fullest. So with that, let me introduce our guest.
Today's guest, Kendra Gottsleben.
Welcome back to Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. Let me tell you a bit about Kendra. Kendra Gottsleben is the marketing communication specialist at the Center for Disabilities at the University of South Dakota Sanford School of Medicine in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That's the longest job title in the world. That's awesome. She is an author and spokesperson on living a life with a rare disease and disability. Kendra is founder and executive director of the nonprofit organization Rare by Design. She's an Augie graduate with a double major in psychology and sociology. Her career blends the two roles in which she grew up, medicine and education. Please help me welcome Kendra.
Hello.
Hey, Kendra.
How are you?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
Welcome to
Thanksgiving Eve.
Happy Thanksgiving Eve. Thankful for Thanksgiving Eve.
Yep.
First of all, set the record straight. How do you say your last name?
Kendra Gottsleben. You did really good.
Gottsleben.
Yep.
Gottsleben.
Yep.
So, Kendra Gottsleben, if I had asked you when you were 7 years old, what you wanted to be when you grew up, what would you have said?
A cheerleader.
A cheerleader.
A USD cheerleader, yes, but that didn't happen.
You say a USD?
USD meaning the University of South Dakota. I grew up in Vermilion, so USD was, a big part of my life. My dad was a track coach there for 30 plus years, so USD was kind of my thing, and I always liked watching the USD cheerleaders.
going to the dome. You have a dome in Vermilion, huh?
Yep, it was at the Dome. Yep, we would go to the Dome for all the festivities, all the games and things.
So, then you decided to go to a school that's dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Because I went to Augustana. How did you decide on Augustana instead of USD?
Well, I moved up to Sioux Falls because I have a rare disease, and with that rare disease, which is called Mucopolysaccharidosis type 6, I receive weekly infusions. And so being closer to the hospital here, this is when I was in high school, we would drive up every week to the hospital, Sanford, or Sioux Valley at that time, but Sanford now. And so being closer to, where my medicine was kind of the gist of how I chose Augie. But then when I planned on moving up here, I looked both at Augie and I looked at USF. But what really kind of caught my eye with Augie is that they had a lot, they were more accessible to a certain degree. Like each door or each building had at least one push button to get in. They had a one bathroom. Each building had one bathroom. At least that had push buttons, and it was a smaller campus, so you could get a little bit more of that one-on-one with professors, and it wasn't a spread out campus, so it was a lot of that kind of logistical and the Christian aspect of it was a lot of kind of what drew me to that.
Cool. And then how did you get into what you're doing now?
So when I was at Augie, when I went to school, I really didn't have I wasn't one of those people that was like, oh, I want to be a doctor or I want to be a nurse. But I knew I wanted to do whatever I did in my life. I wanted to be able to help people, and I like working with people. So that's why I got the sociology and psychology. And so I had some really good internships while at Augie. And after I graduated, went on the job hunt like every college grad did, and found some roadblocks and some aspects of, as a person with a disability, and finding some hard times of people not really, understanding that I can do the job or whatever. But I connected with the executive director at that time and said, could I volunteer? Is there any volunteer opportunities? Because as I was realizing is I needed to just get my foot in the door somewhere in an organization so that they could see that I actually, what I could do. And so that's kind of how it started. I started out kind of as a volunteer and then as a temp. And then I actually kind of created my job because that was when social media wasn't like what it is today. And so, nonprofits are always looking for ways to get information out, trainings and stuff. And so I said, have you ever thought about starting a Facebook page or a Twitter account? And they hadn't ever thought about that. And I said, would you be interested in me doing that? So that's kind of did that as a volunteer, and then kind of just worked my way into more of the marketing as the years went past.
How long ago did
So
you start?
I graduated in 2010 from Augustana College, university now. Then I started, I believe it was November-ish, December-ish of 2010 that I started volunteering here. And so I've been here for close to 12 years.
So you've seen the social media world really change.
Yeah, I have. And
Holy cow.
it's really funny when you think about it and you take a step back, seeing how it was strictly just, people connecting, and then now it's kind of more businesses are getting involved and stuff. And so when I kind of pitched that was when Facebook pages were just on the starting end of businesses, promoting what they're doing and all of that. So
What gave you the vision to how did you see that, hey, this stuff is going to be important?
well, when you're a nonprofit, there's always your grants, the funds, you're always trying to raise funds or getting grants. And so social media is free, or big time free at that time. Now you can do ads and things, but it was free. And so it was another resource, another form of getting communication out to people that were on social media. Like when you do ad campaigns or billboards and stuff, that costs big time money. And so social media was an avenue to get the word out, but in a free way.
Yeah. Kudos to you for seeing all of that early on. That's really cool. What?
It worked out.
It worked out. So you mentioned in your bio that your job blends the worlds of medicine and education. What have you learned about how the two worlds can merge through your work?
So, to a certain degree, that's related to work, but a lot of what it has been is as a rare disease patient, as a child that grew up in the hospital world, I was very used to the medical world, seeing med students and talking to doctors and being in clinics and everything. So that was just normal to me. But then both my parents were in the education field. My dad was the coach, but also taught coaching classes. My mother was a teacher, then an administrator, a principal. So the education realm has always been in my world too. So when I got the opportunity to start working here, it just really fit because you still have that academia field up here. It's not like the University of South Dakota down their campus, but you still have that campus feel a little bit. And then, but you have that medical aspect where I get the opportunity partly with, being rare. A lot of people don't meet people like me. There's about 100 in the United States that have the exact condition that I have. And so
you said 100.
About 100 people in the United States, that have exactly what I have. So I get the opportunity to speak to med students occasionally here because when they study mucopolysaccharidosis, it's like barely a sentence in their book because we're so rare. So they get that, they get to hear that aspect. But then I talk about disability etiquette as a patient, as a doctor, the healthcare profession, and all of that. So working here even though typically my day job is me sitting behind a computer, doing the social media, our newsletters, getting that information out, press releases, stuff like that. That's typically what I do. But with this job, I also get to have opportunities to talk to med students or educators, or those opportunities like that.
So sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I feel incredibly blessed to have found such a great career and been able to grow with other things. Like as the years go by, you get other opportunities to meet other types of healthcare professionals and things. So I'm very lucky, very blessed.
So Dale, one of my friends from Texas says, "I'm sorry I got here a few minutes late. Kendra, would you please explain what condition you have?"
Okay, so I have a condition called Mucopolysaccharidosis type 6. And then the type 6 is called Martolome. And how I explain the difference between me and someone else without MPS is I am missing the enzyme that is needed to go in and clean my cells. So my cells build up with a gluey-like substance. So do you remember the rubber cement glue that we used to use, and they probably still use it, but in school? That's kind of what I say is in that cell. So the missing enzyme is supposed to go in there and break all that down so that my cells are clean. So without that, for me, I'm 3 feet tall. It affects heart, eyes, other vital organs, but not everybody with MPS type 6 is 3 feet tall, but a lot of people that I've seen are, but there are some people that are 5 feet, so it's just a kind of a variation.
You talk about oh no, I don't want to I'm thinking of a few questions.
Yeah.
So when you were a kid, how did you begin to understand this? Like the name is complicated. The imagery is complicated. How do you understand it as a kid?
Well, as I grew up, my parents very much let me be a kid. So I didn't really know I had anything until I was 12 years old. I was going to doctor appointments a lot all the time, but I didn't realize that wasn't normal. For me, I thought that's kind of what everybody did, that you go to the doctor. So I did a lot of my doctoring, and still to this day, I go to the University of Minnesota in Minneapolis, and as a kid, we would take 2 to 3 days, and we would see all the doctors, do all the tests, and then we would come back. And so my parents were very good at helping me realize that this is what you have, and we just live that life. My parents didn't tell me I had anything until I was 12. What had happened was it was a doctor's appointment, and typically in the past once the doctor came in to talk about, what needed to be done, I would go out into the waiting room. But at 12, my mom was like, I think she's about at the age to kind of understand, why she's short and all of this. So the doctor was explaining. And I do say maybe I was a little bit naive. I was just kind of like a go with the flow kind of kid that when they were explaining it, I said, "Oh my gosh, so you're saying I'm short for a reason? Like I have something?" You know, and then I kind of understood a little bit more that why I was looking or looked the way that I did, you know. Not that I grasped all of the complexity of the term and everything at the age of 12, but you know, as I got older, I started learning, you know, more of that.
What would you say to another 12-year-old who's just gotten diagnosed with say the name again?
Just you can say the acronym is MPS, so that's a shorter.
Well, so say a 12-year-old just got diagnosed with, not diagnosed, just got told that she or he had MPS in the last month. What would you say to them?
Typically, because I've gotten to, you know, be able to talk to some kids and some adults, is that the reality is there are going to be challenges that life is going to throw at you, but at the same time, the you know, building connections, making friends with other people that have that condition so you can ask questions, you know, is that not letting MPS define who you are, like living life the way you had hoped. The other thing is sometimes not everything is not possible. It just might need to be tweaked. Maybe you still gonna reach that goal, but maybe you're not gonna achieve it in the original form that you thought you were originally gonna do it. Maybe it's just gonna take some extra steps. You know, that for me, I live my life, you know, I try to always look through things positively. Not saying that that's possible to do 24/7, you know, all the time, but realizing that things can be achieved. You have to work at it a little bit. um I don't think I think it's a process when you're diagnosed with a disability or rare disease. You know, you can give them that information right away, but that's still a lot to, you know, take and understand what that's gonna entail, but just trying to take it a day at a time.
Davey says, what an inspiration and mindset. And to share that with other people is just too amazing. Your transparency is awesome. Your humor makes that much more special.
I would say humor is a big thing in my life.
Speaking of exciting things in your life, and now I want to get this right, so I'm going to look at it. As a guy, I wouldn't think of this. And what do you enjoy most about a stylish outfit and shoes to match?
So, for me, I grew up, my grandma sewed. My mom and my aunts went shopping. It was like shopping was just kind of like a fun thing that we would do, and we would have lunch. So,
Would you shop in Sioux Falls or shop in Vermilion?
well, typically wherever, like we would do shopping trips. So my grandma lived in Iowa, so it would be like maybe we would go to Des Moines or Fort Dodge or Sioux Falls or whatever. So wherever there was a mall.
Nice, wherever there was a mall.
Yeah. But clothing became, when you're 3 feet tall like me, I always kind of, in high school and middle school, I always wanted to kind of dress the age that I am. But I couldn't wear clothing that my peers were because I have to shop, still to the day, I have to shop kind of in the little kids section. So to a certain
So I suppose this is a challenge.
Yeah. So it's a challenge, but also then as I started growing, it kind of became not a game, but kind of like a fun challenge because trying to find kid clothes that I would like and I would actually wear, and then B, something that would look like my friend who was 17 years old that was way taller than me, So as I got older too, like then graduated from college, joining the world of professionalism, that was a big challenge because I realized, even on campus and even in high school and everything, that people, if you dress the part, if you dress for success, people take you more seriously or they take you the way you're trying to come off. So when I would dress with like a little business suit or a little jacket, people would say, "Oh, she is little," but she's dressed like an older, a person that's this age. So for me, clothing is a way of expressing yourself, is a way of showing the world how you want people to take you and to look at you. I know some people think clothing and shoes can be very materialistic, but when you have a disability and rare disease, sometimes clothing can be more of a challenge because you can't do the fine motor with the buttons and the zippers and all that. So when you find a great pair of shoes that look age appropriate and they're fun and they're your size, you're gonna have a good day.
I love what you said. Clothing is a way of showing the world how we want to be seen and how we want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
That's profound. I mean, often as a guy, I think, oh, clothing was a big deal, but it is a big deal in society to demonstrate confidence through our clothing when we can.
Confidence, definitely. I mean, just look at like clothing has so many avenues. I mean, of course, there's a materialistic aspect of it, but clothing, if you're a sports fanatic and your wardrobe is like all the sports team, that shows that you're a hardcore fan. Like this is a team that you root for and you will always root for. If you're a person that likes bright colors and glitter, and then that's your atmosphere of being like showing the bright colors and being positive. So I mean, not that clothing shows everything, but for most people, when you see somebody, let's say for me, like dressed like I'm the age that I am, I feel, and I think it's happened numerous times, I feel like I'm taken more seriously.
Powerful. So with that, speaking of a challenge, should I try to show the video?
Give it a shot.
Thank you. Take one. Will this work? Share screen. Okay, here we go. Is it working?
I can see it. I did fine. And so that's what empowers me, is giving people with a disability more inclusion and acceptance. I would love to do an all-inclusive fashion show in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Models with a disability and models without. Local boutiques, they would dress them. If this is gonna happen, I have to do it. How do you start a nonprofit? Who are people that can help you, and am I not? What pushed me to it was my grandma, who made all my clothes and stuff, had passed, and I had open heart surgery in August of 2020. And so when I woke up, then I was like, I'm gonna do this. Now is definitely the time to have a New York, LA fashion show in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sometimes I amaze myself. It's like, oh my goodness, okay, I really did it.
Kendra?
Yep.
No. Nope. Nope, that's a different show. So in the first of all, in another video I watched of yours, you were in New York City.
Yep.
You got an opportunity to do a show in New York.
Yep. So a nonprofit that started, organization started in 2014, and it's called the Runway of Dreams Foundation. I had kind of volunteered with them kind of towards the beginning, with helping with them with social media, and they are located in Livingston, New York, or New Jersey. And so as I was helping them and everything, and what they're focused on is working with the fashion industry and helping them realize the importance of making, taking mainstream brands to have, how there's petites, there's men's, there's women's, making a section for people with disabilities so they could get clothing. And so working with them in 2016, that clip there that you have, that was their first fashion show of people with disabilities. And I had asked, if I, fly out there and can I attend the show? I'd love to see this, in progress. And Mindy Shire, who is the founder and CEO of it, said, I'll do better than that. If you come out here, will you be in the show? And I, small town South Dakota girl, the big city, the Big Apple. That's nothing that was ever on my radar, but it was an experience unlike anything I had ever partook. But from that experience, I really, really, really wanted to try to someday bring that atmosphere, bring that exposure to Sioux Falls for everybody here to see, how important clothing is to our confidence and with disabilities, but just giving people in Sioux Falls an experience unlike, unless they gone to New York a lot or something,
So did you just have this as an idea and then forget about it?
I never forgot about it. I just didn't know how to implement it or how to make it happen. I had talked to several people about saying, like, someday this is what I want to do. I don't know how to do it. I don't know, you know, but it was just always there. And so, um, like the video says, my grandma had passed in 2020 February, so before the world shut down.
Mm,
And she was a big person in my life with clothing, and I designed my 2 prom dresses when I was in high school. She sewed them. Uh,
wow.
she helped me, and my grandpa even got involved in one time with my shoes, so that my shoes are hard to find for me because my feet are kind of wide. So my grandpa cut them and took a staple gun and all this stuff. So
Um,
she kind of helped me pursue creating things like that. And so she had passed, but before she had passed, I told her this dream that I wanted to do someday. And she had said, I believe you'll do it someday. And so what's hard is, she wasn't there. But um then
mm,
then in 2020 of August, I had open heart surgery. And so open heart surgery for anybody is challenging. There's things to be worried about. But for someone like me, there's a lot more added concern.
mm,
And so when I
mm,
woke up on the other side of it, still in a lot of pain and stuff, but when I woke
yeah.
up, I I realized I didn't want to wait anymore, and I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to figure it out. So it kind of was my motivation while healing from open
Mm.
heart surgery to figure out how I was going to make it happen.
And then and then you made it happen. Tell me about like what was it like for you to be at this fashion show that you created?
So how I figured out to make it happen was I started the nonprofit Rare by Design in 2021, and our first fundraising event was the
Mm,
style show and a runway to empower. And
mm,
so we had models of people with disabilities, people
mm,
without disabilities, but what I really wanted to focus on was showing what true diversity looks like, because so many
uh,
times when
mm,
people say the word diversity, people with disabilities are not included in those conversations.
mm,
People think
wow.
ethnicity, they think race, they think gender, they don't think
Mm,
people with disabilities.
mm,
So that was one of the main things I wanted to do. So, yeah, May 7th or May 6th, 2022. I mean, no, May 7th, sorry. It was hard to explain because it's just we've been working at it so hard. I loved seeing it come to life. I loved seeing the models having fun. I loved the audience. The audience was like enjoying it. And so I kind of I don't like being front and center. Some people maybe think I do, but I don't. I like giving people experiences. And so
mm.
that night I did my little talk like real fast. Didn't talk long, but then I went back and I just watched people smile and have fun and just experience what I was hoping they could experience.
Davey Williams, who's a brilliant friend from Florida, sums this up nicely. when he says, "This is just flat out incredible." I mean, it's incredible. In life, it's so easy to think of an idea that really excites us and just kind of let it go or talk ourselves out of it. But when you woke up from surgery, you're like, I'm tired of waiting. This idea is too good not to do. And so you did it.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen in 2023?
So we're excited because Rare by Design will be doing another event. We'll be at the Hilton Garden Inn downtown Sioux Falls, where it was last year. And yeah, we'll be doing it May 7th, 2023. And it'll be another fun-filled evening of awesome people walking down the runway and having a night to remember.
I love the idea so much of having a combination of models who experience a disability and ones who don't. And it really shows that we're all together in this life, and there's just a variation of designs to the human form, and it's all.
And that's
I love it. So cool.
That's a lot of where Rare by Design. I'm Rare, so that's kind of where the Rare came into the name of the title. But also where the design aspect came into play was we're all designed the way we were meant to be designed. And also the design aspect of, clothing and everything. But, accepting us, no matter who we are, if we have a disability or not, or rare disease or not, learning to accept who we are and learning to accept the things that we can change and the things that we can't change. Acceptance is key. And that's kind of what I wanted to show too down the runway is as a community, people with rare diseases and disabilities are part of that community, but sometimes we're forgotten about. And so it was a fun way to show a community that's a true community. Because we're all part of the community. Doesn't matter what we have, we're all part of society.
I love that instead of just it's so tempting sometimes with a disability to just keep thinking about being forgotten about and become angry and bitter and despondent. But instead of falling down that track, like I'm going to put on a fashion show. I'm going to be inclusive in my fashion show. I'm not only going to have people with disabilities, I'm going to include everyone.
Yep.
It's such a positive way to really help people consider a new perspective on inclusion.
Yep, and I think that's a lot of it is, it's not everything has to be negative, and not everything has to be, oh, you forgot to do this, or oh, you forgot to do this. This was a fun way for people to learn about people with disabilities, but also rare diseases, but also just seeing how we're all in the same community.
Speaking of being in the same community and negative and positive, I think there's a lot of stress sometimes. I know in my case, when people hear my voice for the first time, sometimes they get stressed out about how do I react in a way to to Jason that doesn't offend him and all that. So when you meet people, what for the first time, what assumptions do you think people typically might make upon first meeting you?
So I think typically people think that I didn't go to college, that I don't, have an education.
But you went to college and you not only have one degree, you had 2 degrees.
Yeah. People sometimes it's hard because I think they're like, she's really little. So, like, how old is she? So sometimes I get baby talk, or sometimes it's what I do is I always come at things as I know people are going to react differently, but I don't take things offensively. And I think I know I have no control on how somebody's going to talk to me or look at me or assume things about me. And so I think when I meet new people, I'm just kind of, in a sense, low key, because if, I think people can sense if you're hostile or if you're ready to go off on somebody. And I'm not like that. I've never have been. So my thing is, I come at people with where we're at, and then I help them. When I talk, if somebody says something to me in a voice that you would maybe talk to, a younger person, I just talk normally and say, "Oh, thanks. No, I actually did this or this." I know people are going to make assumptions. That's just part of society. And so I really try not to take offense to it, because I can't expect somebody that doesn't have a disability to understand what it's like to have a disability, or to be in a wheelchair, or to be 3 feet tall, or to have a rare disease. So I am who I am, and I come to the conversation that way.
What would you like if you had a magic wand? What would you like people to do instead of making assumptions?
A lot of what I would like is just talking normally, or part of it is I think questions are good, because that's the way you learn. But questions can also be a little awkward, like if you're just first meeting them, it's like, hey, what do you have, what's wrong with you? Like, that's not appropriate. But I think just treating someone as a person and then getting to know them is basically what I would take it as. Like, how would you treat anybody? Just, hey, how are you? How's your day? I mean, I don't know. That's probably not a very good answer, but I just, just approaching them as a person and being like, hi, my name is so and so. What's your name?
I guess that's really how we all want to be treated.
Yeah.
So just kind of think of how we ourselves would want to be approached, and
yeah, exactly.
and do the same. Davey says, Kendra, this interview just touches my heart. It made my day learning more about what you do. It's a shame how society defines diversity, and you are proof that is the wrong definition. Thank you for that. I admire your story and work. 3 feet tall in stature, 3 stories tall in purpose and impact.
Very kind.
What do you think of that last line? 3 feet tall in stature, 3 stories tall in purpose and impact.
That's a good one.
Really good. That's good, Davey. It's great.
That's a keeper.
Thanks, Davey. So we have a lot to cover in less than 10 minutes. So there's many facets to individuals. Another thing that you do is you're a writer.
Yep. So I've
So
written
how many books?
3 books.
3?
Yep.
Cool. Can you hold them up?
Yep. So the first book I wrote was called Live, Laugh, Lemonade, A Journey of Choosing to Beat the Odds. I'm trying to...
I'm going to make you.
And
Nope. Okay, hold the first one up again.
try it like that. So this is my first book that I did in 2000. I self-published in 2012. And then this one's just kind of sort of along the lines of like an autobiography. It's kind of talking about me as a child growing up, my perspective on life. So this was done as I was graduating from college. And then
wait, you were graduating from college and you not only finished everything and everything that goes along with graduating from college, you wrote a book and published a book too?
Well, I mean, it didn't come out till 2012. I graduated in 2010. But what was helpful was, as you know, that you went to Augie, is that, you know, as a liberal arts college, there was in a lot of the classes, we reflected on a lot of our papers and things. And so I took some of those papers and I expanded them into chapters in this book. So,
Shoot.
you
That's really a good idea.
Yeah.
I wish I had done that.
Yeah, and so with this was the first journey of trying to figure out how to self-publish. I'd never done that. So there was that undertaking of that. So then my second book, you know, when I grew up, and there's more now, but not a lot of books about disability or rare diseases or kid books. So I wrote Kendra's Lemonade, self-published this, and then the illustrator, one of them is I went to high school, middle school with her, and then her husband also helped illustrate this. You can hence, like we've been talking about, the lemonade theme. So, and this book is just kind of talking about how, you know, we're made uniquely, we're made to be who we are, but there's things that we could do, but we're all different and that's okay. So this one was 2014, I self-published. And then on 2019, I worked with a publishing company out of California, Includa. And so I wrote Kendra's Perfect Dance Routine. I took dance in 3rd and 4th grade.
Will you hold that up a little higher? Oh gosh.
There we go. I'll get it kind of.
Cool. You took dance in 3rd and 4th grade?
Yeah, in 3rd and 4th grade. And so I regarding how, you know, it was challenging to dance, but I had a stool. So when I needed to take a rest and sit, I had that. So just kind of the same philosophy of, I really wanted to dance. I really wanted to take it. So we figured out a way.
Kendra? Kendra?
You know, you kind of, you know. figure it
Can
out.
you hear me now?
Huh?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yep.
You really wanted to dance, or you figured out a way, huh?
Out of what?
You really wanted to dance, or you figured out a way?
Yep. Yep. And not that it was easy, but it was something I wanted to do, so I figured out a way. Yep.
Are your books available on your website?
Yep, they're available on the website. They're also available on Amazon. The published, yeah, they're on that too. Yep.
And your website is Rare by Design, right?
Yeah. So my books aren't on Rare by Design. They're on my KendraGottsleben.com website. But Rare by Design has kind of what we're doing with the nonprofit, and that's where our tickets and all the things that we're working on to have more inclusion in this world, representation, and living life positively.
So look for the books on Amazon. Go to KendraGottsleben.com.
Yep.
And look up Gottsleben in the show notes, because I don't want to. Or you can see Kendra's name. You just do Kendra's name. You got it.
Actually, it's rarebydesign.org.
Oh, sure.
But if you look up Rare by Design, it should pop up.
Okay. So I ask all my guests this. I talk in my business about doing our imperfect best, and what that means to me is we envision the best we want for our lives and for the world around us, and then when we make mistakes, or when challenges happen or whatever, instead of being stopped by those things, we learn from them and move forward towards the best we envision.
Mm-hmm.
What does doing your imperfect best mean to you, Kendra Gottsleben?
A lot of just what you literally said is trying, taking a chance and giving it a shot, and realizing that my best is different than your best. Your try is different than my try. Your goals are different than my goals. If I have a disability, you have a disability, our goals are different. Maybe they're similar too, but that our world is not perfect. It never will be. And that's to a certain degree okay, because if we all looked the same and we all did the same thing, I think it would be a pretty boring world.
You have a great definition. I'm glad you asked. I'm glad I asked. You answered. I asked.
We all.
One important last question. So everyone has lemons in their life, as I said at the beginning of the show. Sometimes more lemons, sometimes less lemons, depending on the day, depending on the year. What would you tell everyone about the art of turning lemons into lemonade?
So for me, just like you said, more on some days, less on other days, is that realizing when you encounter those lemons, when you hit those hurdles, that you do need to allow yourself to be frustrated or to be down, to be upset for a little bit, but you can't stay in that state very long, or you're not going to move forward. And so moving forward is taking that lemon and turning it into lemonade. And the reality is, it might not be the next day that you turn it into lemonade. It might not be the next month. It might not be the next year.
Mm.
But at some point, you will probably turn it into lemonade. So don't feel bad if you don't turn it into lemonade the next day. But there are some lemons that you might turn into lemonade right away. It depends on like how big it is or how little it is. So in that aspect of like, you do need to allow yourself that time to deal with it and to kind of work through it, but then make sure to help yourself get out of it and find the positive that has come out of that obstacle or that lemon.
Really well said. Davey reminded me that I really want to ask you one more question. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, Davey. Thanks for tuning in. But Kendra, since tomorrow is Thanksgiving, my last question is: what are you thankful for?
So, for me, I am thankful for the incredible people that have come into my life, all aspects of my life. So, I have been asked, like, if you could not have your condition, would you change it? Would you get rid of it? And the reality is, MPS, even though I say it doesn't define who I am, it is part of who I am. And I would not have had the amazing experiences, the amazing people that have come into my life. I've had incredible healthcare providers, nurses. I've been receiving weekly infusions for close to 20 years. I've become really good friends with some of those nurses. They've added so much value, so much into my life. So with my condition, I wouldn't have probably started a nonprofit. I wouldn't have started or wouldn't have written books. I wouldn't probably be working at the Center for Disabilities here at the Sanford School of Medicine. There's a lot of things that I probably would not have gone down this journey. So I am thankful for the life that I have and the people who have come into my life because of it.
Kendra, thanks so much for adding tremendous value to Awkwardly Awesome podcast and being on episode 111 and
Well,
what?
Thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Great, awesome. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Well, I love that each Wednesday I get to have these amazing conversations. And maybe next week I'll put my lamp a little better. Just notice that. Okay. Anyway, I love that each week I get to have these amazing conversations. People, everyone in our lives, me included, you included, are so multifaceted. I urge you not to ever think of yourself as just being one thing or other people as just being one thing. Be curious about all the aspects of yourself and be curious about all the aspects of other people and celebrate the amazing things you do and celebrate the amazing things other people do. And I challenge you and I challenge me to keep asking asking great questions. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, next week, speaking of Augustine, I have 6 guests, and that's just 5. I have six guests, and I'm talking about the Augie Access program. And Augie Access is a program that gives the ability for people who experience different kinds of developmental and intellectual abilities to go to college, and it's so exciting. So please tune in next week. Until then, the outro right here.